Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMorty, and I'm still a medical doctor simultaneously trying to pursue a career in acting. I'm also still simultaneously trying to figure out how to set up my home studio in my new city of Toronto. Toronto, you are very loud, but I love you. My guest this week is Andrea Osvárt. She is a Hungarian actress, started out as an Italian literature major, and now actress, author, coach. She is phenomenal. Oh my goodness. She has been in some incredible films, acting alongside some superstars. I am not going to give them away because she talks about that a lot in this episode. She has an incredible story about trying to make it as an actor in the small country of Hungary where there isn't that much of a film industry. How do you cross international borders and make a name for yourself, especially when she's just so talented and works so hard. She's absolutely incredible. I'm going to post a link to her appearance on the Late Show with Craig Ferguson. I think it's Late Show with Craig Ferguson, because it's absolutely delightful. Everybody, please enjoy Andrea Osvárt. Story. How did you get into acting? And now you're a writer as well too. Tell me the story.
Thank you so much. Yes, I consider myself an actress, and I think that's what I'm always gonna be, because even if I'm out of work, even if I'm writing at the moment, I am still an actress. Like, it's such a devotion, and it's a profession that I have chosen for myself, and I consider myself so lucky that I knew that this is what I wanted to do since the very beginning. So I remember when I was 6 years old, and I grew up in Hungary in the so-called communist era. And I remember we didn't have a lot of means, and it was quite humble back then. And I remember chatting with my girlfriend in the elementary school that I felt that I wanted to do something different and something special. And it was not a realistic dream back then to become an actress in Hungary in the 80s. So I kept myself this little secret of mine, and I didn't really talk about it for a long time until I got into modeling, and I started to make some pocket money for myself. And as soon as I had some money, I realized the first thing I wanted to spend it on was an acting training. And so I enrolled in an acting school. And slowly, I gained confidence, and I started to see agencies and attended castings and booked some really small parts at the beginning. But I was so focused, so determined, and so sure about what I wanted that there was no plan B. Even my sister, I remember when my mom was worried if this is going to work out, my sister used to tell my mom, don't worry, it's going to work out, because there is no plan B for her. So this was just a straight path for me.
Was there ever pressure from, say, your mom or anyone else to not pursue this?
Oh, I wouldn't call it pressure. She was rather worried. She didn't know this world. We used to live in the countryside, so I took the train and came to the capital city of Budapest to do castings. And of course, every mother would be worried to know that their daughter is catwalking in a swimming suit in front of men somewhere for money. So yes, she was quite worried at the beginning, but I promised her that I wouldn't interrupt my studies, so that I would use this career only as a mean to proceed towards acting and to fulfill my dream and to make this step further that I could become independent.
How did you know, or like, why did you know that this was what you wanted to do? What was it, or what is it about acting?
It's weird because I put this dream of mine for so long aside that I wasn't thinking about it for so many years during high school and actually university, where I studied Italian literature and arts. It was somehow in the back of my mind, and then when I started to do the small parts in TV commercials, then it came back, and I just remembered, oh yes, now I know that why I wanted to become an actress, and this is where I feel alive. So actually, when I'm rehearsing a part or reading a script or being on set with so many exciting and creative people, that's when I feel alive. And I think this is what I like about it the most, and this is what I miss the most when I'm not acting. And maybe this is the very thing that other creatives experience as well when they are in the creative process of something, creating a movie or whatever, a song, a script, a painting, whatever it be. But it's like having a new life, like you are allowed to do with your time and with your energy and with your thoughts and with your instinct and inspiration, whatever you want.
I really like that. Like it's a second life and another life. And I remember a great quote from Glennon Doyle, who said, oh, maybe in another life I'll be whatever I want. Maybe in another life I'll pursue what I love to do. And then she goes, what other life? There is no other life. Like, this is it, right? This is the only life you get. You have to pursue what you love to do.
Yeah, there is another quote as well. I forgot who said that, but it goes something like, you realize that you have a second life when you realize you only have one life. Something like that.
Oh my gosh. Like yes. That hits your gut, right? You're like, oh yeah. My goodness. So tell me about your time in university and kind of what was your life like, kind of either like rediscovering your love of acting and building the acting career that you have?
I learned in practice, basically, because as I said, I went to university studying arts, like Italian literature, and I wasn't, I didn't go to the drama school, the official national drama school, because in Hungary I was already over age. By the time I wanted to enroll, and there is this weird rule here that above 21 you can't be accepted anymore. Yeah, it's a communist thing probably.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so for me it was quite late, and I also needed to work, and if you go to this famous acting school, you're not allowed to work for the first 3 years until you're ready. So, which makes sense on some level, but it was not realistic, and it was not doable for me because I needed to work to maintain myself. So I started to do small jobs and do anything and attend all castings that I could, and even though I was not considered a real actress at the beginning, in terms of I didn't have a certificate or a diploma in acting, but I was so determined, and my drive was so strong to do it that eventually it was quite fast. My progress was quite fast, and I was lucky enough to be cast 20 years ago in a film of Tony Scott that was shot here in Budapest. And immediately I landed in a role opposite Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Yes. So it was quite a start.
Oh my gosh. And then
Yes.
like from there, where do you go from there? Like tell me about the film industry in Hungary and how did you build from there?
Yeah, the film industry is very small here. As you can imagine, it's a country of nearly 10 million people. And today, the Hungarian film industry is living out of the service industry. So basically, we service foreign productions who come to shoot here. Lots of productions come to shoot here. So Hungarian people are hired to do work in those films. As far as national films, we are getting better. We are like maybe 25, 30 movies per year in Hungarian language, but they don't really get out of the borders, as you probably haven't seen any Hungarian movie yet, I suppose.
Guilty.
Yeah. It's not your fault. I mean, this is how it is. So I soon realized that I wouldn't have any perspectives here in Hungary if I stayed in Hungary. Even though I learned languages and I spoke different languages, I realized that there was just not enough work for me here. And when I was 23, I left. I went to Italy because I was studying Italian language and arts. It was quite an obvious choice to go to Italy. That's where I lived for about 10 years. And that was a market that was already, compared to the Hungarian one, a more Western culture market, 5 times bigger as Hungary, with enough work for almost everyone. I'm not saying that every actor is working there, but I also had chances there to work, and I started to build a serious acting career there because I was fluent in Italian language. So after 5 years of living there, my career actually took off really, and I played leading parts already in Italian TV productions.
In both Hungary and Italy, do you find I'm kind of seeing a bit of parallels between where you are and in Canada, where a lot of like Hollywood, American productions come in, hire people from Hungary, they hire people from Canada, the crew, but not necessarily the actors. They'll fly the actors in from America, and then the actors in Hungary, likewise the actors in Canada, kind of go, hello, why did you fly all these people in from the States? We're here and we can say the lines, we can do a good job too. Is that similar?
Yes and no, because in Canada, you are all native English speakers,
Yeah.
so you could really do those jobs. But in Hungary, we have maybe 10 or 20 people who could speak English on that level, like on a native level or bilingual level. So we usually just get the day playing parts, like 1 day or two. Just the one that I mentioned with Brad Pitt and Robert Redford, I had a 2 days shoot with one line. But it was for me the best thing that could have happened to me because it's still in my show reel and it's still on my
Absolutely.
resume. And people, when I went to live in LA, actually after Italy, this is what the agents also liked in my show reel. Oh my God, you played with Robert Redford. So you never know. I sometimes say that it's better to be not in America, not in that big pool of actors, because if there are these supporting parts that are, discoverable in the movie, and you're lucky enough to be hired as a local actor and play opposite big stars, I mean, you could still have your chances. And whether if you stay in America and you compete with 100,000 other actors for the same part, it's much more difficult to book the parts. So, I mean, it's always frustrating. I understand that, especially in your case in Canada, that you do speak English as your mother tongue, but still they fly in actors. Somehow I think it's a matter of trust that directors, producers have trust in certain actors that they know already or they have worked together with already. So it's about connections, really.
I 100% agree, and I don't blame them, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you're investing your time, energy, and money in a project, you're going to bring people with you who you know won't waste your time, energy, and money. And I think it's not just in the entertainment industry, right? Like I think about when I'm working in the hospital, you know, I'm going to pick the people that I want to work with, of course.
Yes, exactly. And you know who you can just work easily with together with blink of an eye without many explanations and stupid questions, you know, and it makes life easier if you already have not a crew, but a group of people that you know you can work together with, because you know how complicated it is to be on set and you have 100 things to think about and 100 people to communicate with. You really don't have time for anything else, just to focus on the job.
Mm-hmm. So you went from Italy to Los Angeles. Was the jump to Los Angeles to pursue acting?
I did, yes.
So what was that like? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was 2010, and I was right after the heartbreak of my life. I broke up with my boyfriend, and I realized it is now or never. It was just about the right time. I was 30 years old. I was not too young, not too old. I had enough credits already. I worked on my English. My English was fluent already. So I decided this is the best time. It's the last chance I have to jump and try. So I moved to LA, also because I wanted to be far from him. And I was so willing to up-level my career and prove to myself, not even to the world, but most probably to myself, that I was worthy enough to be cast in American movies and to play big parts and to make it internationally. And this was my goal. And actually, I realized retrospectively that having this goal in front of my eyes, it's what laid out the path for me to pursue and to follow. So people call me very conscious, like I'm a conscious person and I consciously built my career. And it's partly true. I am also spontaneous, of course, sometimes, but as far as my work is concerned, I always know what I want and I always know why and what and how I want to do things. And I think it's very important for an actor also, for any actor, whether they're beginners or second act actors, to know what's their purpose with it and what is the higher purpose, why they want to do this. And I always knew why.
Without having the degree from the drama school in Hungary, how did you learn and how did you create that conscious career? Like, how did you learn what to do?
Yeah, I was very self-doubting at the beginning because I was a model. So I had this perception of myself that people would see me as a model turned actress, which actually in my country is not a very positive way of seeing actors. And so because I had this fear of not being taken seriously, I thought I have to go to some sort of acting school to prove that I did that. So I enrolled in a 1 year long and then a 2 year long international acting schools, like part-time schools, evening workshops and intensive workshops for a few days. And over maybe 3 or 4 years, I realized that I consider myself an actor now because it's one thing that in Hungary people only know one school, but in the Western cultures it's not like that. It's just people do trainings whenever they can, wherever they can, based on their schedules. So I did enough trainings, and of course I was already practicing acting as I went to a lot of castings. So slowly I built up this so-called 10,000 hour rule. I'm not sure if you know this.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's built up automatically, like adding up all the hours that I went to acting schools with the hours I researched for casting calls, and I looked for agents, and I watched movies, and I attended events and festivals. So it ended up probably in 10,000 hours, and by the time I got there I felt already like a complete actress.
I think that's really a great reminder to a lot of people who I know can feel like they're left behind when they are starting a new career in whatever it is, right? In our case, starting acting later on in life, feeling like they're constantly playing catch up to the people who have been acting their entire lives, went to theater school and stuff like that. I think, yeah, that staring down the barrel of 10,000 hours is pretty intimidating. But I think it's a good reminder, at least to me, being like those 10,000 hours can come from anywhere. They don't
Yes.
need to be formal education. They can come, and they don't need to be, like, even, like you're saying, even in a formal acting class, they can be hours of doing research on your own time.
Absolutely. And even watching a movie, it's like getting information and forming your taste, and having a meeting with an agent. There is something to talk about, like have you seen this movie or that movie, or do you know what's been released last week? It's all industry related work. So that's why with me actually it's quite a thing to go to the movies, because for me that's work. I consider that work to watch a movie. I can hardly ever get distracted and enjoy it fully, because I'm always watching the actors and makeup and the camera movement. So I counted all those hours, and sometimes, I have to be honest with you, I even counted sleeping, because I did so many hours of work and I was so tired. But then when I needed to shoot, I knew that I would have to be very rested for the shoot. So in order to be able to be on top of the game for 12 hours in a row and be on top, I needed to get my 8 hours of sleep. So when I'm shooting in that month, let's say, I'm also counting, or I used to count, the 8 hours of sleep as well as part of my job.
I think that's it's like an athlete, right? It's an
Yeah,
athlete's
it's conscious.
mindset. Yes, I love that, because as an actor, your tool is your body, and recovery, we know from sports, is the most important, is just as important, if not more important, than the actual physical training. So why wouldn't it be the same in any performative career?
Actually, it's called performance. So, I mean, we also have to look in a certain way in front of the camera, and if you show up with bad skin and dark eye circles, and pimples, which I have sometimes when I'm not rested, my skin is rebelling. So, I absolutely agree. It's a very severe and like a very strict routine that we have to follow and maintain as actors, even as diet is concerned, or fitness is concerned, or sleeping is concerned. So that's why people probably call me a conscious person and a conscious career builder, because I was always the first one who said goodnight at a certain hour at dinner, because for me it was more important to get the job done well the day after, and I didn't care anything else and anybody else. Just I had a big day the day after, and I didn't want to forget my lines or get too tired before my scene comes up. So you know how tiring it is to be on set. There are long waiting hours, so it really is important to show up in your best self, as your best self.
Well, and I think that is how, and we talked about it earlier, that's how you develop trust with other people on set, right? They are going to now trust that you, Andrea, will show up on set ready and prepared to do your job as
Yes.
the actor on set. Just like you hope everyone else around you is going to do the same. And
That's why
how you
I
develop-
always, yeah, that's why I always tell actors who come to me for advice that I'm sorry to disappoint you, but the number one thing that you have to know, and I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's not about talent. It is not. It's not about your talent. That is just one element. You can be very talented but still be unreliable. People won't work with you. And I know so many mediocre actors who constantly work because they want it, and it shows because they're always on time, they're prepared, they know the craft, they know the techniques, and they deliver as opposed to hugely talented actors who I admire, and there are so many greater actors than I am, but they get lost because all they want to do is art, and all they want to do is perform, but they forget that this is also an industry and there are other people involved. It's a collective art form, and the number one basic rule is respect for others and respect for the other people's times. So it is mandatory that you show up prepared and ready, and it's very embarrassing when an actor is not prepared, and it ruins all other people's work. Like 100 people's work is like destroyed because they can't shoot the scene properly as they hoped. So actors have huge responsibilities.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I have a thought in my head now about, when you're building a career, like when I'm building my career, you always hear about these actors on set who are the divas and who, they're the divas, right? And I keep thinking in my head, they have earned the right to be a diva where I have not built up that clout yet. I'm not worthy of being a diva because who am I, right? But then I think in my head, why would you ever want to earn the ability to be a diva? Like, do you have a thought on that? Like, why does that shift happen sometimes? And I know it's not every actor. You hear these A-list actors who are just so kind and generous and just lovely. But then you hear the flip. Like, what happens? That somebody goes, "Hi, I can now strut around."
I think it's a question of also the personality one has, because as you said, I heard Clint Eastwood is still the humblest person, and he queues for the lunchbox, at the end of the line on set, and he doesn't want to step ahead anyone. So, but it goes probably both ways, because also if you become famous or acknowledged as an actor, people start to treat you differently, and people start to cherish you, and people are like, you are more taken care of, probably, because let's say if you are Johnny Depp, I mean, you immediately need bodyguards and a chef and a personal driver and whatever. Or if you are Meghan Markle and you're working on a set, you probably need also, your publicist around to protect you, or your assistant, and a whole lot of entourage. So other people add to it, that you start to act differently and behaving differently, and then if you don't catch it, then you can become a diva and and maybe even flip to the other side.
Yeah. So take me from, you are in LA. What brought you back to where you are now, back to Hungary?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I spent 3 years in LA experiencing, experimenting. I was working and I was, really enjoying myself at first because I felt like I was getting close to my dream to make it and become a movie star. And I'm in Hollywood under the palms and living in West Hollywood. So I really enjoyed it at first, but slowly with time, I realized that I didn't belong there. Like, I couldn't get used to the mentality really, and also the way of movie making as a business. I personally like much more European style independent movies that channel much more value, in my opinion. And I started to miss that, and of course many other things as well. It's complex and it has different elements to it, and I started to miss home after 13 years living abroad and feeling an alien and having always these work permits as an alien. Didn't help, to be honest, to make me feel like I belonged somewhere. So I missed home, and I took a deep breath after a year and a half of procrastinating my decision to move back to where I belong, to where I was born. And I now live in Budapest again for a long time now. I think it's been 8 years now. I've been back, and it's very easy from here to go anywhere. I still work a lot abroad, and for me to fly to Berlin or Rome, it's 1 hour, or London, it's 2 hours. So it's a great central position in Europe. I feel home, and I found a way also to make it work for myself, even though I don't really make Hungarian movies, but I work a lot in Germany and in the surrounding countries, and in my free time, when I'm not writing and when I'm not producing, I'm also helping actors now to build their careers.
Tell me more about that. Tell me about how you're helping, and tell me what you're writing as well too.
Yeah, when it all started with COVID, I was out of work for long months, and it just didn't happen to me ever. And I started to give it some deeper thoughts about performers and what I was lacking while not being able to perform. And I started to read books about performers' psychology, and I started to write articles like blog posts on my website. And for myself, I took notes, and I talked to other actors as well, and I thought that maybe I was so lucky so far in the past 25 years that I was never really out of work, but when I am now, I would really need some guidance and some inspiration and hope not to give up. And I did it to myself, and I created this little community of actors in Hungary who I've helped, and now I'm opening this up to make it more international. And I started to work with actors from all over the world via Zoom. And I'm basically contacted by actors and actresses who are either beginning or who are transitioning into acting, and more or less they don't know how to do it and what to do. And I can help them with everything, like even how to structure their materials, or how to start how to set their goals and what's realistic and what's not. And I basically handheld them for a 3 months process. That's usually how long it takes. It's a minimum of 3 months for us to be able to get somewhere, to achieve something that is realistic and doable. Let it be finding an agent or getting signed up by an agent or landing a role in an international movie. I just had this little girl, very, very young, 23 years old, Hungarian actress, who was so diligent and worked so hard on her English, and her goal was to be cast in an English-speaking movie this year. And we started working in June or July, and just this week in December, she shot her first role in a movie with a director who won 2 Oscars already. So she's over the moon because yes, because she was not lazy and she was diligent, and she followed my advices and followed through step by step what needed to be done in order to be seen by these people, and how to be in their database and how to get in front of them.
So do you have any advice? I know that you probably have a ton of advice, but what is kind of some big pieces of advice you'd give to actors who are thinking about changing careers later on in life into acting?
I think it would be, my first question would be to them, why? Like, why? What is the purpose? And if they can answer that, then we know how strong that motivation is. Because if the motivation is to become famous or to become rich, it's not going to work. It's not enough. It's not a motivation that the universe likes. So unfortunately, but if there are deeper purposes behind, like higher purposes that are not very selfish and egoistic, then the universe listens. And of course, you still have to do a lot of work and put in the work. But if you have noble intentions, that's what I always believe in. If you have noble intentions and if you put in the work and the amount of work required, then the universe listens. So first thing first, you need to be conscious about what motivates you, and you can start working from there.
Do you have any favorite moments from your time on set?
Oh my God, I have so many. I don't really have one particular favorite moment. Now only the bad things come to my mind. The bad experiences. No, I can't pick one. I mean, the one moment with Brad Pitt, actually, that was very funny because the scene was supposed to be between me and him, and my part was, I was playing the niece of Robert Redford in Spy Game. And in this scene, Brad Pitt would come to my door, knock on the door, and I would give him instructions where to go to find Robert Redford. And in the scene, I was wearing a nightgown. I was 20 years old. And during the rehearsal, he knocked, and I said my line. He's upstairs on the roof, and I was expecting him to turn around and go upstairs on the roof. But he played a little game with me, and it was quite funny because during the rehearsal, once he decided to change the scene, so instead of turning around and going up to the roof, he just stepped into my room and closed the door behind himself. So me and him, the two of us in a room for half of a second, and all the crew was whistling and yelling and clapping and laughing. And I was so embarrassed because I thought, oh my God, I missed a new instruction, or what is happening, you know? I was so young and naive and embarrassed, like I was stiff. But he was just trying to loosen me up a little bit. And it was a very, very personal moment that he gave to me.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's very unique, I think.
Yes. Do you have anything you are looking forward to coming up? I guess, in 2023, we're almost done 2022.
I'm looking forward to many things. I have a movie, a TV series, or not TV. It's like sorry, again. I have a streaming platform series to be released on Amazon early 2023, sometime around spring probably. It's called The Therapy. So, on Amazon Prime. It's a 6-episode series. And then I'm about to start to shoot a new one in February. And that's going to be a German production again. And we're planning to shoot in Tenerife, where I've never been before. So yeah, I'm looking forward to both, to the shoot and to the movie that's getting released.
Oh my gosh, so much exciting stuff coming.
Yes.
That's great. Congratulations. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Is it available, do you think, around worldwide on Prime?
Yes, Amazon Prime. I think it's worldwide, yeah.
Fantastic. And do you have any final words of advice or words of wisdom?
Yes, I mean, I'm also in the learning process still, and I'm also gaining wisdom from the other actors who come to me and we solve the puzzle together. So I made this new website, andreaosvárt.coach, for my coaching activities, and I am now helping also other actors from all over the world to build their careers. And I created some worksheets and some strategies that already helped a few actors that I worked with. So I'm also looking forward to do it more and help more actors also from your country, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll put a link to the website in the show notes below. And if people are interested in your books, where can they find them?
Yes, I have a collaborative book on Amazon.com. It's called Transforming Your Life. And I wrote a chapter about my life as an actress, how I overcame the ups and downs in my acting career. And I have also an ebook that's called Conscious Career Choices for Actors. And you can either download it for free through my website or you can purchase it on Amazon.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you Andrea for being my guest this week. Everybody go check out her incredible website. She has tons of information for actors, especially those actors in Europe. If you're interested in working with her, she's also just an incredible human being. Go check her out. Go check out all the media appearances and all the cool stuff that she's done with her. Amazing career. Oh, just what a gem. Thank you so much for being my guest. I hope you will all tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye!